that a good crow impression? Caw.
That's Sunbird.
Yeah. This is PCMC, Pop Culture, Man, Children. I'm here with my good friend and yours, Mr. William Gerald Gagliardi.
Gerald with a J.
Yes.
Hi, Mike. How are you today?
Bill,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing very good.
I'm glad to hear you're doing
I've had a
very
wonderful
good.
week.
Have you?
Yeah, it was had a lot of nostalgia. Brought back a lot of fond memories from my childhood to do the research for this week.
Yes. Did you happen to go to Hot Topic at any point this week?
You know what? I think that was the final piece of the puzzle. I think that would have brought me right back to it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there is still some merch for this franchise.
Somewhere. Well, that remake, that was what they wanted. They
Yeah.
were like, let's get this ball rolling again. So, from the title that you clicked on, today me and Bill are talking about the 1994 classic.
Oh, it's
cult
definitely
classic. It's a classic to you.
It's earned its flowers.
The Crow.
Oh, yes.
The Crow, directed by Alex Proyas, who, have you seen Dark City?
Yes, I have.
Dark City is slept on, man, but it is so good.
But you know what? I think a lot of his stuff, and we'll go into this a lot in this episode, is there is some style over substance. And I could say like Dark City, I got lost like 6 or 7 times in that movie, but it's still one of the coolest looking movies I've ever seen.
It's cool as hell. They come in and make like walls move and shit.
Yeah.
And it came out in that world of like, there was so many like that, like Existence and The Matrix and stuff. And I feel
Underworld,
like,
Blade,
And I feel like Dark City is like underappreciated. And it visually, I feel like it goes with this movie. Whereas the other big thing he did was iRobot, which I saw once and was like, that's all right. Actually, did I even see iRobot?
I saw parts of
I don't
iRobot.
remember. But it doesn't have that aesthetic that The Crow had.
It's strange because iRobot, if I remember correctly, is a Philip K. Dick joint.
No, it's Asimov.
That's Asimov.
Yeah.
I think I'm mixing that up with Minority Report. They both have like kind of the same feel.
Yes.
Like as far as like the cinematography of it. But yeah, it's just a complete departure because Proyas is very into the like neo-gothic or like the 90s gothic isms of it all. But yeah, this is something that I've been pushing for over a year now because I think there was one episode you and Janine were talking and then I was just dropping Crow knowledge on you.
Yes,
Needless Crow knowledge.
Yes.
And it was a huge part of my like preteen identity.
So this is what I'm really fascinated about. Because I don't have this. Like, I was around, but it's just something that I didn't get into for some reason. I watched The Crow for the first time, like, 2 years ago. And I was kind of like, eh. And then I watched it. You wanted to do an episode on it, which I was like, great. And then I watched it again earlier this week. And I was like, oh, I actually really like this. And then I watched it again today. And then I watched part 2, which is not very good. There's also a 3 and 4.
Oh, yes.
That are straight to DVD.
Oh, yes.
So tell me about 1. How does 1 form you? How old are you when 1 comes out?
9. I was 9. I didn't really watch it probably until I was 10.
Okay.
But just a quick little history behind it. MTV was like crack to me.
Sure, okay.
In the early 90s, mainly because I didn't have cable.
Okay.
I had a place in the Poconos that had cable that I spent the summers at. So like in 1994 was my first summer up there. So it was like a whole summer of MTV.
Okay.
And kids, ask your parents, MTV used to be known as music television. So there were music videos.
And it was cool at a time.
Yeah, it was really cool at a time. You had really cool shows. Like at that time, I was watching Beavis and Butthead at 9 years old and mimicking it, and it was awesome. But music was a big part of it.
Yeah.
And I had an older brother who introduced me to a lot of the bands back then, like Nine Inch Nails, Nirvana, Rage Against the Machine. So I thought it was cool to listen to that type of music too.
Yeah.
They were pushing the Crow soundtrack.
Yes.
They premiered a new song from the Stone Temple Pilots. Nine Inch Nails has a Joy Division cover on it. So it was one of those movies where I heard the soundtrack before the movie.
Interesting.
Then like a year later, when it came to video, I think I saw it over my friend's house once. It wasn't my first rated R movie, but like it was up there, and seeing things that I've never seen before on film. And I guess it was kind of, and I'm not a goth person at all, but like it was like my first introduction to goth. So like it's where I dipped my toe in the water a little bit.
Yeah.
And then after that, for like a good 2-3 years, it just became my identity. And I don't know if it was like the whole like.
So what does that mean, your identity?
I was the Crow for 2 or 3 years in a row for Halloween.
But you were not goth.
No, I was not goth.
Saying.
No, because.
So what spoke to you in the Crow?
I don't really know. I wasn't a wrestling fan, so it wasn't Sting.
I was just going to ask you, what came first, Crow or Sting?
Crow. Sting.
So Sting is really trying to just be like Crow?
Pretty much. Sting before that, like, looked completely different. Sting always changed. I'm not big into wrestling, but I know Sting just because, like, he was the Crow for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it too was because of how strong alternative or industrial or whatever type of rock music that it is, that the movie itself has a music video aesthetic to it.
Yeah, for sure.
So it just, without being a music video, looks like a massive music video.
Yes.
So like, me being growing up on MTV, I was so addicted to it, but also knew that it was like kind of a counterculture. So it was like, oh, like, look, this is me being naughty or whatever.
Yeah,
like, not defiant, but like there's like my little tiny
something
bit of rebellion.
different, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely like something your parents would not be interested in. They'd be like, what's this shit you're watching?
Exactly.
And you, as a kid, you thrive on those things.
Yes. And also, like, at that time, like, this is when I started, like, departing from Power Rangers a little bit. All my friends was, like, Pokemon just, like, came out a year later. So, like, everybody's, like, collecting Pokemon cards and stuff. And here I am going to Hot Topic, getting obsessed with City of Angels, which is the second Crow.
Wow, okay.
And, like, buying the movie.
So you've turned on City of Angels.
Oh, well, I mean, City of Angels had an amazing soundtrack as well. Like, that one was, like, completely marketed on MTV. I was buying merch. I was buying the production diary of it, the comics. I started buying the other comics that were not adapted. Like, that's when I like was going like full tilt into this.
Wow. So you've read the comics? Because I was actually thinking. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to. Make
Dude,
I was playing with a tea bag. Like I'm not a huge comic person, but like I spent some time in a comic shop. I've never read any of the comics, and even this week I was like Googling stuff, and I was like, this stuff isn't around anymore. I don't know why.
No, it just had a fever pitch in the 90s with the success of the movie.
But it feels like it reminds me a lot of Spawn, which I was into around this time. And I realized like the 90s was all about like these alternative superheroes that were basically like take Batman and like turn it up to 11.
Yeah.
And just make it way more violent.
Yeah,
and that's basically what it is.
It's a vengeance fantasy.
Yeah.
And especially with the Crow, like you have somebody like who's a musician, who's somebody like, I mean, it's not Brandon Lee who's like shredded and whose father was like the creator of a martial art.
Yeah.
Like, but Eric Draven, well, his name's just Eric in the comic, and he's a mechanic, so like that's kind of like where they mixed it with Ash in the second movie. But like it's just a Joe Nobody.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a lot of people, like especially goth kids, were kind of like, you'll see, I'll get like it is that like vengeance fantasy as like look at me now type.
It's a lot like Death Wish, the Charles Bronson movie.
Where you're 90 years old killing thugs.
Yeah. It's and look, this is it's problematic in a way, right? Because these movies tend to be like, have a lot of violence against women, and then that's what makes the male characters. Women get fridged, basically. Women get killed, so the male characters have something to rage against. But it's a lot of that, and it's also like, I guess when I first saw it a few years ago, I was surprised that it's a superhero movie. Yeah. Like, it really is. Like I didn't realize that. Like I knew it was a comic or whatever, but then when you watch it, it's like, this is a straight up superhero movie.
Yeah. Yeah. You think it's a horror movie. Like, it's marketed as like a horror or a crime thriller and stuff. It's a superhero.
He's a superhero.
Yeah.
His powers are a little, it took me a few watches to be like, I think I know what his powers are.
Crow vision.
Yeah, and empathy issues. Like, he could like feel things and remember things. He could remember memories by touching people or objects, but then he could give you memories or feelings like he does at the end. I guess, I don't know, but
grieve with me.
Yeah, it basically takes the sort of shape of a superhero movie. I mean, even to like Ernie Hudson's character is like James Gordon in every way. He's like
every
James
single
Gordon.
way.
Right. He put his nose where it didn't belong, so he got demoted, but he's...
A couple of times.
Yeah. But he's helping the Crow and protecting him, and, you know, I guess, you know, it was one of those things, like, my whole life I was like, what is this? And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, I know exactly what this is.
But you brought up a good point. When you first saw it, you kind of were like, oh, whatever. Yeah.
I think it was, for years, people... Because, like, I was not friends with you when we were kids, but I knew... people like you.
Yeah.
There were in the 90s like Crow kids that were like, this is like the Jesus joke. Every edgelord would tell that joke.
Yeah.
And I realized, they got it from this movie.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's been built up of like, I thought it was going to be, I don't know what I thought, but it was like, it was just a motion picture. And I was like, oh, it's just a movie. Like, I don't know. It was built up in my mind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now revisiting it at an almost 40-year-old adult.
Yes.
I want to preface this by saying that this is an episode of a celebration of it. Of course, PCMC is the non-toxic fandom or whatever. But separating myself from that fever obsession as a kid, I do see its flaws.
Sure,
and a lot of people don't want to acknowledge that. Like, throughout the research, you hear all these retrospectives and everything of like how it's a timeless classic. That's true, and it does deserve its accolades because there's really not much before it in that context, and there have been movies that this has inspired.
Yeah, like the latter Batman movies.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's a lot of parts that were ripped from The Crow to this.
Yeah.
To Batman movies.
Yeah.
Which is like, is Chris Nolan like a low-key Crow fan?
I actually had a moment, like a brain fart moment, where, because it's very designed, this movie, it's got a great level of facade, which I like. And I actually thought, this is like if Joel Schumacher made a Batman movie. And then I remembered he did, and it looks nothing like this.
Yeah.
But for a moment, my brain was like, my brain actually had that thought. This is like a Joel Schumacher Batman movie. And maybe that's what they thought they were going to get when they hired him. And they got
and then
complete comedy.
Well, they wanted to have a complete departure from why can't I even think of his name right now? Burton, thank you.
I see a lot of that, though. I see a lot of Batman 89 in this as well. I feel like this is also like, you know, Batman 89, like Darkman. There was, like, we think of the superhero movies taking off in like the early 2000s with like X-Men and Spider-Man, but like throughout the 90s there were superheroes. From like 89, this is like part of that, like the Spawn movie, which I was a huge fan of.
Spawn, Blade, like, and it was like a lot of the grittier superhero movies. Because I guess they wanted we came from the 80s, and then like there was that comic book boom in the 90s too. Like it's like all the Jim Lee era comics. And so it was like, okay, let's make comics edgy.
Right. And you had the independents that weren't DC or Marvel. So you had like the Dark Horse stuff and the Image stuff. So it's like, oh, this is different. And you also got to think like Batman 89. Before that, what do you have but like the Superman movies and like Wonder Woman on TVs? So like that was the first time it was like, oh, dark superhero. And then that kind of like brings us into like what this movie's doing. But like this movie has like straight up like action scenes and like great fight scenes and stuff.
I mean, his tragic death, it's not captured in the movie. It's supposed to be one of the scenes from when he's thrown out the window. But like you look at how he died versus how many times he actually gets shot in the movie.
Yeah.
It's just like, it probably has the record for one person getting shot.
It's wild. I was thinking to myself, would this movie be released if it were made now? And that same accident happened. I don't think so. I think they would shelve
look at
it.
Rust.
Right.
Rust might, I mean, I think it is getting released.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. But
I think they would, because he gets shot so many times in the movie.
Yeah, so it's kind of like insensitive to
the
nature of it. But people were so passionate about the project, and like you look at when this was definitely a response to Batman, because Batman comes out in '89, and then he dies, I believe, in '92, and then it's in another year of editing and stuff.
Oh. So do you think your fandom or whatever, or maybe just fandom at large, is also informed by his death?
Yes. Just echoing on my brother's interest.
Yeah.
Like, back in the 80s and 90s, like American Ninja was out. My brother watched Bruce Lee movies. Like, we were watching Bloodsport and everything.
Yeah.
So like, martial arts craze was huge.
Yeah.
So like, of course we knew who Bruce Lee was. And then we also knew that son was killed in making this movie. So like, people were interested in it before it was even released.
Right. And Brandon Lee only did like 5 or so movies before this, and they were all kind of just like martial art. This would have been a big step for him.
Yeah.
This would have been like a big breakout thing for him.
I said he was in that movie with Dolph Lundgren, Showdown in Little Tokyo, I think it's called. It's something along those lines.
Yeah.
Great movie.
He did
like,
stuff,
he is a good partner. I do, and this is shame on me, like this is more of like a recent watching of it. I get what they're doing, but I think that if they had more time and reshot, because I'm like, can he act?
It's so funny because I asked myself that question as well.
Yeah.
He's doing something, but so I think he can act. I just don't think he knows exactly the film he's in, or maybe like you said, reshoots would have been done, or maybe just the director didn't help him find the tone.
That's where the style of the substance
he should be having a little bit more fun.
Yeah,
I think. To me, one of the best scenes is when he goes to John Polito's pawn shop, and he's like fucking around and he's hanging upside down.
Yeah,
and he's having fun in that scene, and he's kind of being a little quicker. And I'm like, that's good. It's the stuff where he's like, it's the gothy stuff where he's like, emoting that like heartbreak that's like a little bit too much.
Yeah. And that's actually where this is celebrated, and that's where that balance needs to be met a little bit. But he's not a brooding character in this dark tone comic or this dark tone movie. It's not like in the last Batman movie where people are around him going, who the hell is this weirdo? Why is this clown doing this whole I'm vengeance or whatever? It's like, no, he's talking like a normal person.
Yeah.
Like when he's like, oh, you're not going to disappear? I just use your front door.
Yeah. That's probably actually his best scene.
Yeah. You feel that.
And I think it might be Ernie elevating everything. First of all, Ernie, I think without him, this movie would be a drag. Like Ernie Hudson as Albright. Albright is much like he does in Ghostbusters. He's like the real person in this world. So he grounds things, and like that whole scene where Eric goes to his apartment and they talk, and like that whole scene. It's also like the least crazily directed moment.
It's very human.
Yeah, it's very human, and I think it's the best performance from Lee, probably because he had a good scene partner.
Yeah. Is this like Ernie Hudson's biggest role, but outside of like Oz?
I was just gonna say Oz. Yeah.
Later, like Frozen Empire, he's more of a main character.
Right.
Like this, like he's steering this movie.
Yeah.
This movie follows him more than it follows anybody.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's an interesting point. I'm trying to think, but he's popped up in so many things. He's very versatile.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he elevates it. And you know what? The lack of Ernie Hudson in the sequel is a problem.
Criminal.
or a person like that. The sequel is, it's almost like, let's copy the first movie, but not have like the Ernie Hudson part, and also like lean further into the gothy, but also let's make it more perverted.
Yeah.
And also the crow.
Well,
and this crow is not a great actor.
You know who the producer on it was?
Oh, it was, well, I know it was written by what's his name? Goyer.
Yeah, but I mean, it was produced by Weinstein. So,
well, I think they produced this one too.
Yeah, they did it all of them.
Whatever happened to them?
Oh, yeah, they got their own little project.
They were good boys. They named their studio after their parents, Mira and Max. Those were their parents' names.
That's where that came from?
Yeah, they were good boys.
Wow. You don't
no,
know
they're
like
terrible people. They're awful people. But this was, I think the second one is actually a Dimension release, which was
the rest of them were
the genre arm of Miramax.
Well, they said that this City of Angels rode the coattails. What I was going with before, after I bought all the merch and everything, when I finally saw the movie, and I was ready for it. I was like, all right, City of Angels, here we go. I know everything about this already.
Yeah.
I was like, this is really bad.
Good for you.
I thought I was going to be so sycophantic. Like, Iggy Pop is making some choices with his acting. Tom Jane's in it, which I had no idea.
He's actually the best part of it.
Yeah.
Or his death in that little peep show is the best part of that movie.
You know, when I first saw it, I didn't really understand what he was doing.
No, okay.
That's how young I was.
Wow.
I shouldn't be seeing that.
But
especially with his reputation on his own HBO show.
Yes.
You know that she was impressed.
But I think it's amazing that you had the ability at your young age to see it and be like, this is bad. Even though you had bought in so much.
I bought in so much and was so disappointed.
Because, I think for me, that movie was Batman and Robin. That's the first movie as a kid I was excited about and saw, and I think was able to intellectually go, I don't think this is good.
Yeah. They have not been able to capture what they had.
Yeah, it's one of these series, right?
Yeah.
And then I didn't see 3 and 4. I know Kirsten Dunst is in one of them.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about Dimension. They were riding the coattails of Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, so they kind of wanted to have that more like young, fresher face look to it. So that's why they got Eric Mabius.
Is it a different crow in every movie, like a different character?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's a different character. So like, again, James O'Barr, who was the writer of this, the creator of The Crow.
Yes.
Only wrote that one story. And then he's just given the thumbs up on everything else.
So there's only one arc in the original comic?
Yeah.
Or just you mean the one movie?
The one.
There's only one. The Crow comic was not a long. It was just like one arc. It was just one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Then there were other like James O'Barr and whomever. So it was really just characters based off of them. And then and then there were like 3 other comics released in the 90s based on that. And then the movies are detached from the comic
entirely
altogether. Yeah. Yeah. So, one is based off of there were like bits and pieces that were taken from the comics into other things. Like Dead Time, which was the second comic, is about these natives that were killed by Confederate riders. And then 100 years later, like a whole family, and then the father of that family goes and seeks vengeance on their ancestors. It's like, but what if they're all like good people?
Right. That's really interesting.
But like that's cool because it's like that's like a curse, like that. Or then there's another one where it's a mother and her unborn child, which kind of converts back to City of Angels, where it's
a little bit,
the father and the son.
Father and son. Yeah.
The natives go to what's the last one called? Wicked Prayer.
Yes.
The girl that gets killed is native in that one. So it's like kind of like they're like kind of
taking pieces and stuff. Do the third and fourth one do what the second one does, which is just like kind of copy and paste the same basic formula?
Not really. I never saw the fourth one because, like, did you see Edward Furlong as the Crow? Like, what he looks like? He's got like a choker. It's like really weird.
Right. But although I just watched the trailer, and I was like, at least it looks different from like a Brandon Lee wannabe.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what you see in 2.
Yeah.
But he sucks. He's the Crow in 2 sucked.
Yeah.
He doesn't have. He's not a good actor. He doesn't have the charm.
I would say that the third one, Salvation, is probably the most interesting. It just was flat. Like, it could have been better. Somebody is wrongfully accused of a murder of his girlfriend, and then he gets sentenced to death. And then he tries to redeem himself, finds out that there's a lot of like police corruption. Fred Ward is like one of the main bad guys, and so is William Atherton. Okay. So it's like, well, awesome. You got Dickless in this.
Yeah. That's interesting. I wonder, the new movie obviously came out a few years ago and tanked tremendously.
Yeah.
But I wonder how it is. I might still watch it.
I might have a hot take on it, mainly because like now watching the 94 one, seeing that, oh, this is the counterculture, right?
Yeah.
And recognizing its flaws.
Yeah.
And I do have to give it some grace because they did not have much to work with after Brandon Lee was killed.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to look at this new one from a lens of, okay, these are what these people look like as the counterculture now, like with all the face and body tattoos and everything. And like, maybe there's something there for that. Like, so I do want to give it a chance with that.
I kind of want to give it a chance too.
But I don't know. The whole thing about Eric and Shelley is that they were decent people.
Yeah.
And it's like, these two people met in prison.
Right.
You know, so you're already discrediting something.
Yeah. So let me give you some more credits. It's directed by Alex Proyas.
Yes.
The screenplay is by David J. Shaw and John Shirley, based on the comic by James Orbar. The cinematographer was Darius Wolski, who did Prometheus, all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and The Martian. The production designer was Alex McDowell, who did Fight Club. You can see that. Minority Report, Watchmen, Corpse Bride.
Yeah.
So all of these people working together to do... And I see a lot of like... Fight Club, I see taking a lot from this visually. And also, going back to Batman, Heath Ledger's Joker, I think, is taking a lot from what Brandon Lee's doing.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. Especially in the scene when he's going to Top Dollar's meeting.
Yes.
That's very much like when the Joker walks in and like he does the magic trick with the pencil.
Yes,
and stuff.
exactly. Yeah.
There are, like I said it before, there are scenes that are very, very influenced by this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could definitely see Fight Club, especially because Fight Club does seem like a little wet at times, like it just rained.
Yes.
And
this
they do
rains
raining.
Constantly.
Yeah.
This movie
but it can't rain all the time.
It can't rain all the time. This movie uses extensive and wonderful use of miniatures. Wonderful use. The whole Detroit is a miniature.
Yeah.
And it begins... First of all, the cinematography is incredible. The production is incredible. It begins on Hell Night, which would be the night before Halloween.
Which I thought was a real thing for the longest time growing up.
I think it's a real thing now.
Yeah.
I've heard people use the
term
like
Mischief
now.
Night. You know,
but we're not setting fires and looting.
No.
But this is like... I think I sent you the honest trailers. They make the joke about RoboCop. Like this is 90s Detroit movie where it's hell basically.
Yeah.
And the opening, it's ostensibly through the point of view of a crow flying, but there's no CG in it, so it's all models, and you can tell it's models, but not in a bad way.
Yeah,
and you can tell because it's so stylized, like all of these very gothic buildings, and then there's these fires. There's a lot of optical compositing, like not CGI, but basically filming two different things and putting the actual film together. So you see these fires everywhere, and the sky is red, and it's just like it's like an anime or something. Like right away, it's like so constructed, which is like what my thing. That's my ethos when it comes to movies. So I'm like, wow, and then like. We go up, we go right up to like his, looks like Doctor Strange's like apartment with the window, the round window, and he's in there, and then everything's red inside their house, and it's just like from the get go you're like, oh wow, this movie's like gorgeous in like such a depressing, horrible way.
It's so funny, like how you're just talking about that establishing shot. When we talked about Vampire Hunter D, it's just like when you saw the castle. Yeah. And it's just like these images, like I could tell you right now that shot of Detroit burning is always stained into the back of my head. It's kind of like the beginning of Blade Runner too, like where like they're flying into the city. It's just like all these like kind of just like cities in ruin or like structures in ruin, like to start the movie, like really does something to you, like as far as like what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and it's a lot of again, it's like that's part of why 2 doesn't work because it's in California.
Yeah.
Whereas like Detroit, I mean, at some point, who is it? T-Bird like call somebody a Motor City fuckhead or something like that.
Yeah.
By the way, there's a lot of both very weird lines of dialogue and also weird line deliveries, and I tried to capture as many of them as I could. So we don't have to go through the whole story, but there's just so many fascinating things in it. At one point in the beginning, someone asked Ernie Hudson, like, how many fires are there so far? And he goes, 143.
Yeah.
And like, oh, they're down from last year. It's like, you imagine living in such hell.
Guys, just I know it's hard to move, but try your best.
Sarah, how do you feel about Sarah? Does she slow the movie down for you? Do you like her? Do you like the Bart Simpson of her?
That's exactly what she is. She's the Bart Simpson
It's
of
that
it.
90s, I've got a skateboard.
She plays a better role in this than she plays in the second movie, I'll tell you that much.
Can I tell you, I watched half of the second movie before I realized it was supposed to be her.
Yeah. Like, it's like, why does this keep happening to her? Like,
how old is that cat?
Point,
how does she still have the cat?
At that point, don't you feel like that you're a conduit to something even greater?
Yeah,
like,
you're the problem.
Like,
Sarah.
I don't mind Sarah. But especially like that.
But she's good with Ernie Hudson.
Yeah, that, and also like at the time that I was watching this, I was that age.
Right.
So I guess I more identified with Sarah, even though, and I had a skateboard, Mike.
Sure, of course.
But I was bad at it. But I didn't have a heroin addict mom, so.
Yes.
So lucky me, I guess.
So, well, listen, I'm glad you brought that up. At one point, when he goes to kill Fun Boy, who apparently in the comic was modeled after Iggy Pop, but then Iggy Pop couldn't do it, so they gave him a role in the second movie. When he goes to kill Fun Boy,
that would have made more sense.
Yes,
that would have been perfect, especially the way he is. Sorry.
Yeah, no. He goes to kill Fun Boy, which is such an interesting scene because that's the scene where Fun Boy shoots him with a hand, and he like looks through his hand, holds his hand, and screams and laughs, and that's very jokery too.
Yeah,
and then her mother, Sarah's mother, Darla, he's like, your daughter needs you, and he holds her arm, and like you see like some liquid pour out of her arm.
Yeah.
So it's like, is he using magic to get the morphine out of her
like
body?
Knock it out, yeah.
But also, it's more than that, right? Because then she would just be jonesing.
Yeah.
So it's like he's using magic to get the addiction out of her body. Because afterwards, she's like not addicted anymore.
Yeah.
What are his powers?
What are his powers?
He can make you not addicted.
He just has to like recite some Poe or something, and
or
that
wrong. He misquotes Poe.
Why isn't this movie called The Poe?
Yeah, or The Raven.
Yeah,
hello.
Because, like you said before, it's a raven.
Yeah,
that's doing it.
Yeah. I don't know if we were on air yet, but there are no crows in this movie. The crow is played by a raven,
and he quotes the raven.
Yeah.
But don't know what his powers really are. Regeneration, like you said, super empathy.
Yeah,
crow vision. But so
you want to talk about the first fight with Tintin?
Tintin, or do we go Tintin? Oh, Tintin was before the pawn shop.
Yes, it is. Yeah, Tintin, who's played by Lawrence Mason,
who was in Hackers, I believe, right?
Yes, that's a pretty cool fight. First of all the goons have stupid ass names.
Yeah, love all the goons though.
Yeah, Tintin, T-Bird, Skank, Fun Boy, then the big boss is Top Dollar. Top Dollar.
And his number 2 man is Tony Todd.
Yes. Which
I didn't know until this last viewing.
Yes. Well, I also want to get into the incest. That's a cool fight. They're out on the street. I like that he's good, but he's not like perfect. Like he gets his ass kicked a good amount. So I think that's another like, not power, but like the fact that he can just take beatings and keep going.
Right.
Like he's not like think about the scene where he goes into the meeting. He's not like Superman where bullets fly off of him. He gets shot and falls down, but then he just gets up again.
Yeah,
it's a pretty cool scene. And
it's just persistence, is what.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And it's not crazy martial arts, but there's like some of it. You get like some of his movements are clearly very like in that vein. And then the moment where he grabs the knife,
which is in the original trailer, and that was pretty much the selling point. It's like, oh, this guy just caught a knife.
Yeah. Tintin is throwing knives at him, and he's like swiping them away, and then he grabs one with his two hands right in front of his face.
Yeah.
And then he uses it and fucking stabs him.
What is he? I forget what he says, but he says something right before.
Who's cut now? No, he doesn't say that. He does have a few.
Yeah.
He does murder people.
Oh man, he murders them. He murders them good.
Did you read any trivia for this?
Like what?
Or maybe you might just know it from a lifetime of being a fan of it.
Oh man, big one.
Did you see if IMDb is to be believed, which we know we trust and believe IMDb, that all the stuff about killing the crow and making him the actual crow and making him less powerful was done in reshoots.
Oh really?
Yeah, originally it was that because his mission is to kill the people who killed his wife. With each person he kills, he gets a little, or maybe not a little less powerful, but when he kills Skank, he believes that's the fourth person, and he loses his power.
Yeah.
And maybe they thought that didn't read well to the audience, because also he gets his power back when he realizes that Top Dollar was behind it.
Yeah.
But they turned it into, no, you have to kill the actual crow, and then that weekends.
I guess that's what explains Stairway to Heaven then.
What do you mean?
You don't know about Stairway to Heaven? The TV show, The Crow Show series?
What? No.
Oh, Mike. So on Sci-Fi.
What is happening right now?
On Sci-Fi, there was The Crow series. And it was based off of Eric Draven, but it was a 22-episode one-season series.
Get out of
here.
So,
but it's the story of the Crow that we know, but so he has to do his main mission, but he also has side quests to help everybody else. And he's out there during the day. His landlord comes up to the loft and says, "Hey, if you're gonna live here, you got to pay rent." He's like, "How am I living? But I'm dead." People know that he's dead. He has to do mundane things too. And do you know who plays him?
No.
Mark Dacascos from not Top Chef, Iron Chef America.
I have to look this up immediately.
The chairman.
Crow Stairway to Heaven?
Yeah, he's also one of the brothers in the Double Dragon movie.
Holy shit.
You know the chairman. You've watched Iron Chef.
Yeah, but I did not know about this fucking shit. Was this a USA original?
It's either that or a Sci-Fi original.
He kind of has the right look.
He kind of has the right look.
1998 to 1999. Holy moly.
And people say it's the better of the adaptations. Dacascos. He was also a Highlander, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He reveled in being worse TV versions. Season 1 ended on a cliffhanger. Too bad. I hope the fans out there are like, damn.
They'll bring it back.
One of these days. God, I honestly, if I ever knew this was a thing, I do not remember it.
But yeah, I guess kill the crow, you take its power.
Yeah.
Both make sense to me, but I don't know.
Okay, where did you air though? October 3rd, 1998. So it was a Halloween premiere. That's smart. Let me ask you, did you ever play the famously bad Crow 2 video game?
No, but because I know that it was famously bad. I might have. The controls are they're like tank controls, like how the old Resident Evil games used to be.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
The Crow Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something else.
Oh, look at this TV guide cover. Huh?
Why is it a little sexy?
It is a little sexy. It is very sci-fi. Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
It's got the sci-fi feel too.
Of course. Wow, you just blew my mind. I'm gonna go watch every episode of that. Yeah. No, I'm not.
No, watch a trailer and call it a day.
Yeah. So yeah, we talked about the 10-10 fight. You
gotta go to Gideon.
Yes,
because this movie is in stages, right?
It's a boss.
Yeah.
Melee.
It's Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Gideon is you said the actor's name before.
John Polito.
John Polito. He was in Big Lebowski. He was the brother Seamus.
Great scumbag.
Yeah, he's always the scumbag character actor.
Yeah, he has a few interesting lines.
He's the pawn shop owner. So anybody who gets killed or whatever and gets stolen from, he's funding it.
Yeah, yeah. Where is? I wrote down some of his great lines.
He's the guy that just does not know how to leave well enough alone.
I know he gets himself murdered really for no good reason.
Just because he can't shut up.
Sit on it and twirl, you dirty scum. And then at one point he
repeat shit on me.
Shit on me.
Shit on me.
Shit on me. But that's a great. I love what the Eric goes and finds. He's there to basically find his wife's wedding ring, or engagement ring. They were not married. They were going to be married on Halloween.
Yeah.
That's another good line. The cop's like, at the beginning, when they were at the crime scene, the cop's like, who gets married on Halloween? And then Ernie Hudson's like, nobody. Because they're dead. He finds, at the pawn shop, he finds like all these rings. And I think as he touches his ring, he like gets hit with the memory.
Yeah.
But then he does that really cool thing where he puts the rings into a shotgun. And he shoots it. And I don't know how they shot this, but like you see the rings come out. It looks very cool.
Yeah, no, for the time that it was made, but the editing in this movie is pretty impressive for the year that it was.
Yeah.
Like all the shots of him inside the loft.
Yeah.
Not the flashbacks, but like anytime like he's putting on the makeup or he sees Sarah or anything, you notice that it's dark.
Yes.
So the only time that you actually see his face is when he's walking in and he's shivering. But if you're supposed to be immortal or, you know, invincible, why are you shivering?
Right.
I guess you do feel pain.
Right.
But that's the only time you see him walk in there. And that was actually a cut scene from him just walking in an alleyway that they spliced onto a background of the loft. Oh. Everything else was by his stunt double. And his stunt double...
Okay, I was just going to ask you because I know that he wasn't entirely done shooting or something like that. Yeah. But I couldn't tell what wasn't him.
Yeah. It's all
it's all tell, that like, stuff.
Yeah, it's all the stuff that's in the loft. So like
when he first comes there and he's like, oh, when he's talking to Sarah.
When he's talking, when he's like, Sarah, I do care or whatever.
Okay.
But when he's
not when he first comes in.
When he first comes in too. Yeah.
Okay.
Except for when he first walks in the door.
Yeah.
But that's the spliced scene.
It's done really well.
Yeah.
You really can't tell. I mean, maybe because the movie is edited in such a choppy way to begin with. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't, you don't feel like, oh, I could tell by the editing that they're trying to like keep something from us. It kind of fits the overall sort of editing aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's very impressive for... the tools or what they were given.
Yeah.
But his stunt double, I mean, I think that should be a note in its own because it was played by Chad Stahelski, who's the director of the John Wick movies.
Get the fuck out of here!
Yeah, because he used to be a stuntman. He was Keanu Reeves' stuntman in The Matrix as well.
Right.
So yeah, he has a big part in this. If anything, like he should be the one that should be directing any type of remakes or anything.
I know,
but.
Yeah.
I think people are very protective of this property, and they should have just put it to bed with.
I wonder who made the new one because the Weinsteins are out.
Yeah, well, the new one's been in production hell. Like it was supposed to be Jason Momoa for a long time.
That would have been bad. He's playing Lobo.
That makes a lot of sense.
That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. There was
it would have been a different take because he's so bulky, like. Brandon Lee, like Bruce Lee, is like very, very thin and fast.
Yeah.
It's not like muscles, really.
Yeah. Jason Momoa wouldn't have gotten murdered by, I mean, maybe. I don't know.
No, yeah. No one's coming in and murdering him.
But one of my hot takes, though, like when, talking about the actual murder scene and everything.
Tell me.
This would have been a lot better movie if Shelley was the crow.
Yeah.
Because who is Eric, really? Eric's just... Okay, look, forgive me for saying this, but he's just the dumb musician boyfriend.
Well, that's the sexism.
I know musicians.
Yeah.
We're all dumb. We're all just floating through life, riding on the coattails of everybody else. Like, she's supporting his ass. She's the one that put in the petition to...
Right, she's the reason they got killed, because she's got political aspirations. She's trying to community organize.
Yeah.
But that's
this is her tragedy. It was her wedding day.
Yes. But that's it. That's the sexism. We don't think of her as... She's not a character. She is an obstacle for him. It's, oh my God, my hot wife got killed and raped. And that gives me the motivation to murder people.
Yeah, but he got off light. He just got thrown out a window and shot.
I know.
She went through torture. She went through 30 hours.
Yeah, that's
like she's
it's crazy.
the one who felt that pain.
Yeah. It's pretty. I mean, you don't. Everything's really like quick cuts, so you know what's happening, but you don't see it to the point where it's uncomfortable. But yeah, it's crazy.
I've been so distracted because I've been trying to look for the director of the 2024 Crow. That's how hard it is to find it. People are trying to detach themselves so far away from it.
It's directed by no one.
By Chad Jeppett. Chad GPT.
Chat GBT finally directed a motion picture. John Polito has another great line where he's in Top Dollar's whatever. He lives in like a loft above a grunge club or whatever he does. I don't know what's going on with them.
Very, very strange place to live if you're going to be a pirate in the 90s.
I know.
His wardrobe is something else.
Oh, it's insane. And John Polito goes, you're directly out of your mind, which does not make any fucking sense. By the way, the name of the band is Hangman's Joke.
Yes.
Which, that's got to be a real band at this point, right? There had to be many Hangman's Jokes in the 90s. So let's talk about Top Dollar. Top Dollar has straight long hair. He's
beautiful straight long hair.
Beautiful hair. He the only other thing I could think of him from is he was in the movie Nope recently.
Yeah.
As the crazy cinematographer. He's got that crazy voice. Mm. We see him in his like bed or whatever, and then we see a pretty cool like there's a lot of like the camera moves in such an interesting gliding kind of way.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like we see Bai Ling like taking a shower. We see her butt, and we see it sort of like zooms in on her butt, and she's taking a shower, and then she comes back over to him, and like they fucked someone to death. I guess
he says, "I think we broke her." I always thought like they like just pumped her with drugs or something, but she loses her eyes.
And he refers to her as sister, but they don't look alike, right?
Well, it's his father's daughter,
right? So they are half.
They're half siblings.
Yeah. So it's half incest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, incest is incest. There's no.
But how do you
incest.
read that? I mean, is it just they're unnatural like the Lannisters? Is it just like? I don't know. It's a weird detail, I guess.
It is. I think it is something like the Lannisters, where it's like ambitions. Nobody's going to understand me except for my own family.
Yeah. Okay.
Type of thing. So, and like it seems like he always idolizes her as some wise sage too.
Well, that's a little Orientalism there of like
That's a little racist.
Yeah, that's pretty racist. She's like has like. Kind of like mystical powers.
But how does she do what? Sidebar, what is this folklore of the crow carries these
I've never heard it before.
Because
is it real?
It's mentioned in every single movie.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if
there's voiceover from Sarah.
Yeah. And she's 80 if she's a day now.
Yeah.
So, and she's still saying it in the new movie.
I've never heard it before. So I find myself wondering: is this an invention of the comic book, or is it something real?
Is it some like Native American folklore? Is it like Egyptian folklore or something?
Well, the movie,
it's not Catholic, Mike.
But the movie trades in Christian iconography. Even like there's like chanting in the soundtrack sometimes.
Yeah.
Like when the cat's name is Gabriel, which is a biblical name, and it's like Gabriel, and then you hear like so like and there's obviously like crucifixes and stuff.
The fight at the church at the end,
right, which is exactly like Batman 89.
Yeah,
even the fact that they like go up the stairs and then it ends with him falling off. So like there's that iconography there too.
I love how they had to make it just a little bit more gruesome than Joker's death, where it's like he's gonna get impaled by a gargoyle.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool the way he dies though. Yeah, he does this thing where he's basically like gonna get killed, and then he's like, I forget what he says, but he grabs Top Dollar's face, and you see like images of Sarah like in the ICU, like being like worked on.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm giving you 3 hours of pain.
30.
Is it 30?
It's 30.
30 hours of pain all at once, and that's what kills him.
Yeah. I think that probably killed him, and then the impaling probably cut it a little shorter.
It certainly hurt. 30 hours of pain all at once. Pretty brutal. It would be cool. Why hasn't there been a female crow?
There was in a comic, but I don't know, because people are sexist, Mike.
God damn it.
We're almost there, but we We haven't gotten there yet. We haven't talked about my favorite character in the whole movie. Tintin. Played by... Do you have it? I forget his name.
We talked about him. We talked
Not
about
Tintin. Oh, geez. T-Bird. The other T.
Oh, T-Bird played by... Warriors Come Out and Play.
Well, yeah. That's Vermin from Warriors. So, like, I mean, these are the only two movies I know him from, and he's a son of a bitch in both of them.
David Patrick Kelly.
Yeah. And
he's awesome.
How does he remember him? He's like, I remember you. I knew you. Well, you can't be you. We threw you out the window.
I mean,
this
sure
guy
they murder
is
people
a mass murderer,
yeah,
right? Like
he probably remembers that night.
It's brightly lit red, but here's a guy running out with no shirt on. You shoot him, you throw him out a window. This guy looks like he's fully like I don't recognize people I work with if they're wearing glasses.
Yeah.
Like, how does he know who this guy is?
I figure. I guess he does kill a lot of people.
But I just love.
But how many people is he throwing out a window? You know.
It's interesting. You don't throw people out a window every day.
It's interesting because the movie deals a little bit with faith, not in a very overt way, but it's sort of a small theme.
Yeah.
And with the T-Bird character, it's a little bit like he doesn't believe it. Like Ernie Hudson's character kind of immediately believes it.
Well, he's a Ghostbuster. So.
Yeah, and he says at one point, "Are you like a ghost?"
Which was such fan service.
Yes. But T-Bird's kind of like, no, you can't. I knew I recognized you,
but you can't.
But you can't. Yeah. It's interesting. Like
it's like his sobering moment.
Yeah. Like he refuses because I guess if you're a murderer, if people could come back, that's really the last thing you want.
Yeah. What a way to go! Because like there ain't no coming back.
Yeah, he kills him like 5 times at once. Like he duct tapes into a car, which he then has drive into a river, but he also puts explosives, which I don't know where he got those explosives from. Were they in the car?
They were in the car because like they blew up the arcade. Like there are.
I couldn't tell if that's T-Bird's car or he stole that car.
Well, it's a T-Bird.
Oh, I'm an idiot. Okay, so okay,
it's Thunderbird.
So he explodes him. Why didn't he need to go into the river then if he exploded him?
So they don't find the body. I don't know. In case he survived the one or the other, who knows? Because he ran out of stabbings, all right? Because he stabbed Fun Boy with the heroin needles. He stabbed Tintin. But what else was he going to do?
If you make this deal with the Crow, you could keep...
He definitely made a deal with the Crow.
Yeah, like, listen. You could keep one of your revenge people alive and just be alive forever and have superpowers.
Well, that's what they did in the show.
Is that really? Or they just... he just couldn't find them.
I don't know. I'm guessing, or he couldn't find the Crow, and he's like, "I got to find this Crow."
I'm guessing he didn't find. I didn't watch it, but I'm guessing he didn't find the killers. I'm saying like you get T-Bird and you just lock him in your basement and feed him dog food, and that's his torture forever. Ooh. And then you get to be the Crow,
fun,
and play electric guitar on rooftops.
There you go. And then maybe your band will probably take off.
Yeah.
He did not go see the
rest of his band. How does it make you feel as a musician?
I would be betrayed.
He did, the rest of the Hangman...
Jesus saw his disciples, like he went on a victory cruise, right? So
what happened to the rest of the Hangman's joke? Where are they?
They became the Foo Fighters.
Oh, come on. By the way, T-Bird also has another crazy line. He says, he got perished.
It's like the new, what is it, unalived? The kids say these days?
Yes, unalived, right. Because I think YouTube will take you down if you say the word killed or something.
Yeah. I still got a lot more. I have so many notes. Chats.
Oh, we haven't talked about Fire It Up.
Fire It Up. Fire It Up. What's great is I was... when I was a kid, I remember they were having the network television premiere of this movie.
Yes.
At 11 o'clock on a Saturday.
Sure.
I remember like...
Fox?
Of course. No, it was at midnight because I taped the Mad TV episode before it.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm staying up. I'm recording it because I was not allowed to buy it. And this was an edited version.
Yeah.
But like, 90s editing, which isn't, there's still
not
some
as bad as that. Yeah.
And that scene, because when they're at the bar and they're taking shots with the bullets and stuff, and then they're all having like kind of like a Mexican standoff with the knives and stuff, it cuts all that out and it just cuts to, hey, fire it up, like with no context whatsoever.
Well, that sucks.
But I love that like they have like their hand motions
Yeah.
and stuff. Like they are manic, wild guys, wild and crazy guys.
Why are they swallowing bullets?
What
is it? What are they proving something to each other?
They're gonna get lead poisoning.
That's bad. You should not swallow bullets.
No, you shouldn't. You'll die.
Although there's an awesome shot where it's like a close up of a bullet like flipping in the air, and then he catches it. But yeah, they're fucking swallowing. Also, what else happened?
I mean, they're also doing heroin. So I mean,
Bai Ling and Top Dollar also like smoke eyes.
They smoke eyes.
She has a whole thing with eyes.
When drugs aren't enough,
I know. Right, the person that they fucked to death or whatever, she's like, she has beautiful eyes, so that she rips the eyes out, and then you see them like cooking the eyes and then like inhaling it.
Yeah.
Which I guess is all set up
like
because the crow's going to rip her eyes out later.
Yeah. Poetic justice.
Yeah.
Couple of things. The flashbacks.
Yeah.
The flashbacks. Janine made a good point. It's very reminiscent of The Room. Like the Tommy Wiseau Room.
Because they raised Sarah and Sarah's not their own.
Yeah,
that's what I kept
much.
thinking about.
And like it's like all those red flashbacks where they're just having weird sex.
And like fun, weird times.
You think about the way that Tommy Wiseau looks and how he walks shirtless through that whole movie. It's like, did he want to, after he unalives himself or perished himself, comes back as the Crow? I want to see a Tommy Wiseau Crow.
He should be the Crow. Anybody should be. Maybe he saw the Crow and he like based his whole he based his whole thing on it.
I mean, so many people did. A couple of other tidbits. There was one treatment of this prior to Brandon Lee getting it. I'm sorry, I keep saying Brandon Lee getting it. Michael Jackson possibly being the Crow.
I'm gonna call bullshit because there's also. I think Jackson just for a long time was so powerful that he would try to get in things. Because there's also Jackson almost played Peter Pan and Hook. I don't think that was ever going to happen. He wanted to be Jar Jar Binks. And I think Lucas was like, yeah. Like, I don't think he ever was close to playing any of these roles.
Well,
I think he just went around Hollywood telling people, can I be in your movie? And people were like, no.
It's like, thank you. But
yeah.
One thing that actually did get close was that he was almost Tim Burton's Willy Wonka. Wow. But there was a deal. He wanted to do the entire soundtrack, and he recorded it and sent it to them, and they were like, no, we're not going to do this.
Wow.
And apparently that album exists somewhere.
Wow.
But
it's like imagining God's voice.
Yeah.
What could it be? I got a few more good lines from Ernie Hudson. Looks like he zigged when he should have zagged. When they're talking about, there's this whole speech that Top Dollar's doing where he's like, I invented Hell Night and setting fires and looting, which is not a great idea. But he's acting like it's a brilliant idea. And he's like, but now everyone does it. They got Hell Night greeting cards. So I want to do something different. But his big idea is to do just one big fire. And he says, he has a line, we're going to set a fire so big the gods will notice us again. All right.
What's the motivation here?
I don't know. It's interesting that he's the big bad, but he didn't kill him or rape his wife. Like, he's behind everything, but he's like, it's interesting that you feel like if you were to write another draft, you would make him closer to think, because honestly, when Eric goes into that meeting, he says, like, I just want Skank.
Yeah.
Like, my business is to kill that guy. That's what I'm here for. And he's like, well, I won't let you have him. And it's like, why not? Just let him have him.
Yeah, and that's it.
Like, because obviously he don't give a shit about Skank.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why. I don't even know why Top Dollar is like against Eric. Like, why is he like? Has he been really causing him that much trouble? Did he care that much about the pawn shop?
I think in the comics, it's all real estate stuff. I think that's where they get. That's why they send the gang to their apartment.
Right.
I think because they're trying to get them out of there, and Shelley's like, absolutely not. And so it's like kind of like let's scare them out, or let's lower the value of the. I think that's what they're doing. They're trying to lower the value of Detroit, which I mean that's easy. Yeah. But which is funny because I watched.
Is Eric Draven not helping with that? Is he raising property value by killing,
by exploding a pawn shop? And,
yeah,
and
like it doesn't. It's not a clear motive as to why he would be anti-Crow.
Yeah.
Like let chaos descend. Who gives a shit?
This guy is actually stimulating the economy there. There's thriving club businesses.
Yeah.
He's probably going to build high rises and stuff.
Yeah.
Bring back, GM assembly lines.
By the way, another great line. This is from Top Dollar. Quick impression for you. Bang. Fuck, I'm dead. It's pretty good. It's pretty good stuff.
Halloween's not till mañana. That's another one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
What the hell's that? I call it blood, detective, but you might write it up as graffiti.
Yeah. Oh, we haven't talked about that. The
Detective Torres?
No, he's a dick. He's like the Bullock.
He's the Bullock, and also it's like he has no authority to get this guy demoted. And he gets demoted twice. He gets demoted before he gets his shield taken away, and then he gets his stripes taken away.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why. I guess because my guess is if it's like Batman, like they're all in on the take.
Yeah, and he keeps poking his nose around in the business.
Yeah. I mean, he says at some point, I poked my nose around and got demoted. We haven't talked about the iconic imagery of the Crow image. Like when there's the one with the blood, but then there's the one that you saw a lot in the trailers and stuff where he does it on the floor with the kerosene or whatever. And that's a pretty iconic moment.
Yeah. Yeah, the trailer itself sold an entire generation because there were all those like beautiful shots of that, the catching the knife, like the miniatures of the city. The trailer also had Big Empty, which was the Stone Temple Pilots song, which premiered from this movie. And it was on Core, which I think at the time, like they were like a brand new band, but it was like when grunge was like in its heyday. So like everything was hitting for it.
It's interesting because you're a musician, and I'm not even very much a great music fan, but like you would from the outset, like from looking on the outside, it seems gothy, but it's more like grungy in its soundscape.
Yeah, it's this wild. The aesthetic came from James O'Barr. Created the Crow from
it was a black and white comic.
It was a black and white comic,
right?
So Sin City would have been better for this, like that type of aesthetic.
Yeah.
Which they were going to do for one of the later movies. There were a couple of cool ideas. I'll get into that in a second, but it was based off of Joy Division and The Cure. And there is a Cure song in here, and there's a Joy Division cover because Ian Curtis is no longer with us, and New Order was more new wave than post punk. But so, and then like you get like a lot of like Sandman in this too, which is the Crow comic and the Sandman are like around the same time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
but Morpheus, like there's a marriage between the two.
Yes,
like,
it's that '90s comic time.
Yeah.
A lot of long hair, pockets.
But the soundtrack is Pantera.
Is it still hold up?
It's a snapshot in what early 90s because there's no Guns N' Roses in it, but like Guns N' Roses was like the kind of the bridge between like glam metal to grunge.
Yeah.
And then everything in between, but like you had a lot of the bands that were like kind of like on the cusp of it. Henry Rollins is in it, so like now you're having like the Black Flag influence and stuff, and like so it was that bridge between like grunge and early new metal, but like good new metal. And then also you had like industrial music, which was not post-punk. It was like where Nine Inch Nails sat at the time because it was like hard rock, grunge, post-punk.
Yeah.
So it was like all like the electronic stuff, and and Trent Reznor's aesthetic at this time was like the exact same thing. So yeah, it was for the perfect time, and it goes back to what I was saying was like this is just one huge big music video, and it's cut that way too.
Was Proyas a video director?
I know Tim Pope was, and Tim Pope did a couple of Cure videos.
I wouldn't be surprised because so was Fincher. There was a time in the 90s where that was the pipeline from like music videos to film.
Yeah, like Spike Jonze,
Yeah,
Michel
yeah.
Gondry, like all the big names. David Fincher did the what was it? I know what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
He did. I was like, that's a David Fincher video.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I wouldn't be surprised.
But yeah, one of them did some Crow video, some Cure videos.
Oh, Fleetwood Mac video
For Price?
Yeah, Proyas. Yeah, he did video stuff. Interesting.
Yeah, everybody was. That's how they're making their money in
He
short
hasn't
form.
done a lot really recently. Like
No.
he's not.
He's got a good resume though.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, you said that there were some ideas for other versions.
Yeah, that were in production hell. Like there was the Jason Momoa remake
Yeah.
that was supposed to be Eric Draven. There was a Rob Zombie version of The Crow called The Crow 2037.
That could be it. It depends on which Rob Zombie you're
Yeah.
talking about.
I mean, this is going to be like a futuristic one, but like The Crow, like it's the idea of like there's like alternate realities or like that there's, I don't know, it's too confusing to make, but that's at the point where Dimension was like, no, we wanted to like look like I Know What You Did Last Summer or Scream or whatever. So like that's where they went with the
Younger people, and
younger
stuff.
folks.
Yeah.
And the other one I heard of was The Crow Lazarus, which was there's a good crow and there's a bad crow, and one of them is a hip hop artist, and they didn't want to make a movie about a hip hop artist at the time.
Sure.
And DMX was the front runner for it.
What?
And the villain was supposed to be Eminem.
This is insane.
Yeah,
That sounds awesome.
I would see that. I think that's.
I
really
think
cool.
if they want to keep milking this franchise, if you want to even call it a franchise, you should just go bananas.
You should have multiple crows and call it Murder of Crows.
Yep, it's right
Right,
there,
like
folks.
it's right there. Wasn't one of my animation like cartoons? Wasn't it like The Adventures of the Crow, where it's like a Captain Planet type?
Who remembers? This podcast is like 1,000.
Oh,
years old.
we're almost up to 400, baby.
Can you?
I can't
believe
stand it.
Who can believe it? Who can believe it? Well, A Murder of Crows. We got to go out on that. This has been PCMC. I'm Mike Bongiorno. I was joined by Mr. Bill Gagliardi. Bill, thank you so much for being here and bringing your crow knowledge.
Thank you for finally having me talk about this. I've been holding it in for so long.
I'm glad. I hope it feels cathartic.
It does. It does. Now it's done. I can move on with my life.
Yeah.
And never watch this again.
Yes. We end every episode by saying,
Crow, bye-bye.